Alrighty, good afternoon, folks. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining here on this fabulous, fabulous Sunday. Took me a moment. For some reason, it feels like Saturday. I don't know why it feels like Saturday. But we've got this amazing race coming up for you guys. It's going to be the TheBigK1, apparently also known as the Canadian Kyle, against 2C. So I am going to get our folks off and running, and we'll get this show on the road for you guys. Alrighty. Canadian Kyle against... I read that as 2Cycle. That is not 2Cycle. Yeah, we've got Canadian Kyle on the left. We've got 2C on the right. Both fabulous contenders in our Spring Any Percent tournament. I'm going to get going here in just one moment. Hey, there we go. Look at that sync. Yeah, Cyber Shadow, as many people know, a game that can be punishing and certainly difficult. Get 2C's audio up here for everyone. There we go. So stage 1, after this little tutorial here, this is chapter 0, I guess, or the prologue, whatever you'd like to call it. Chapter 1 is going to be all about cycles. So you're going to see our runners are going to make a set of various, or try to make a various set of platform cycles. After this little elevator ride gets going here. Stage 1 is all of the basics. It's basically going to be trying to teach you how to jump, how to attack, just kind of get the basic feel. You're going to see our runners are going to be doing these little ledge clips here, which can now gain them between 1 and 3 frames. I think it's made a little bit lenient later, or it's going to be made a little bit lenient later, if I'm not mistaken. But you can pick up between 1 and 3 frames. It's this little kick animation. You see both of our runners going for a D boost there because the purple dude is really chunky and takes a lot of damage. So the whole name of the game, you're going to be trying to continue moving forward as fast as possible without stopping. Of course, in this cycle-based stage, there's going to be a couple things that we're going to try and make as best we can, and if we don't, we're going to be forced to wait a full extra cycle. Stage 1 can be daunting right out of the gates. There's a lot that's technically deep about the stage when you add in the actual ledge kicks and the ledge clip, or potential ledge clip, that you may see one of our runners do in a short period of time here. Unfortunately, Kyle getting trolled by the birds, which is, nobody likes the birds. Ah, nice. And in 1.04, apparently we get 4 frames. Nice. Yeah, the way that ledge clip will essentially work is our runners will try and come at the peak of their jump towards the ledge, and they will clip up on top of it, basically. So they want to land the, or they want to push over, essentially, at the time that they're descending from the peak. Here's the smasher. 2Cycle, pretty much standard from both, as expected. 2C, a little too quick on the health grab. That's easy to do. But yeah, any percent, we're not going to be going really out of our way to grab any extra upgrades. Any full health upgrades dropped by mid bosses, we will be grabbing, because why not? They're right there. There's one SP upgrade that is immediately en route. Our runners may or may not take advantage of that. We're going to have to see. It's really kind of preferential. Oh, 2C unfortunately getting bullied by the bug. So that's going to cost him a cycle and allow Kyle a chance to get back. And bullied again by the bug. Well then. Unfortunately, the rust fly is being extra aggressive. Switch over to Kyle's audio here for the moment. You'll see if he's going to get this ledge clip. You can make a quicker cycle here with this little ledge clip. Doesn't appear to be going for it. We'll see if 2C goes for it. Very nice. 2C picking up a little bit of extra time with successfully making that quicker cycle there. Yeah, stage 1, start to finish, it's a lot to unpack between all of the little things that you're just collectively doing and all of the things that can go wrong. Reaching our first boss, we're going to be fighting the Apparator. Strat's fairly straightforward. Stand in front in a way that the first projectile goes in front, you get hit by the second projectile. You eventually get hit as he dashes into you. Try and clip the toes here. Oh. And neither runner having luck clipping the toes. So you basically chase him down. Ideally, you kill him before he reaches the peak of his jump if all of your slashes are, like, ideally timed. But in most cases, he'll get up to the top and hopefully only has one hit left. And just at the peak of the jump, there's a very small portion of the sword hitbox that can make contact with the foot. But neither runner, unfortunately, having that benefit. Alrighty, on to chapter 2. So we have our Shuriken. Shuriken is our first ability and first thing that we get that can use SP. Let's see what's going to happen here in regards to the SP upgrade. Alright, both of them going for it. So both of our runners are going to have 6 SP for the duration of the run. Kyle had to hesitate there for the bug pattern that he had. 2C got the ledge clip, but then unfortunately got bullied after the fact. Stage 2 can definitely happen. And it can happen to anyone. So this stage has not only ledge clips that our runners are going to be doing, you're dealing with all of the bugs. The trash compactors will kill you automatically if you happen to fall into them. We're still at a point where we don't have a ton of health because we're still at 6 health right now. This laser instantly kills you unless you get hit by the very end of it, in which case you can do a damage boost. We'll see if either of them go for it coming up here. So exiting this room, let's see what happens. And 2C got it. So it doesn't look like much now, but 2C is actually going to save a laser cycle right there and actually going to take the lead because he opted for that dangerous damage boost. Alright, so both of our runners into Laser Brain. 2C avoiding that shot, very nice. Kyle, unfortunately, trash got destroyed, either via the shots or the lasers. I saw the laser take out the second block there. But yeah, 2C had a little bit of a cleaner laser brain fight, gonna make up a little bit of time, or gain a little bit of extra time there. The whole way that fight works is the core takes extra damage, and you can hit the boss 3 times. Using the blade extend that we purchased just prior to at the checkpoint there. So purchase the blade extend, stand on the trash, try and get 3 hits per jump is basically what you're aiming for. You have to get as far right as possible so you can just kind of clip the core and get that extra damage, ideally. But yeah, we're on to the auto scroller. This is where rust flies come to try and ruin your day. It's less daunting now than it was before if you're playing on PC. If you're playing on console and you're dealing with the original patch, well, then it's a little more annoying. Super small difference. We see 2C obviously getting to the top of the elevator first. This isn't really difficult or daunting in an any percent run, but if you're going for the feat where you want to do the elevator without harming the flies, then it's a little more frustrating, especially if you're on old patch. Working his way through this section, we're going to see probably a couple clever damage boosts. Was a little hesitant on the laser cycle, but still made it. This is the trash room, as we've dubbed it, because it is frankly trash. It's not as tight of a cycle as I think everyone initially thought, especially with some of the ways that we've changed the earlier portion of this room, but you basically want to make this cycle, and both of our runners have made it, you basically want to make this cycle for the trash blocks to land and you to be able to destroy the lasers. 2C onto the Scrambler. This is a big Scrambler. And now medium Scrambler. And little Scrambler runs away. Yeah, looking good. Everyone's looking comfy. Base standard Scrambler fights across the board. It's like a 4-egg Scrambler. Yeah, I thought about making some eggs today. That's not helping my case. Alright, on to Chapter 3. Chapter 3 definitely picks up the pace a little bit. There's a little more risk of dying in a few different ways. Enemies start to be a little more aggressive. You start to have to deal with some projectiles. These little green things, you don't see them doing it now, but if they get hit by a flame, they eject a flame in another direction. They basically redirect the flame shot. You've got these little green dudes that chase you. You've got these molars that come out of the ceiling and drop enemy soldiers. And you've got the damage boost bridge. So all of these enemies take far too many hits. So it's more ideal just to take the damage boost. Attempted ledge clip here. Lucy gets it. And kind of a high five. One up top, one down low. And looks like Kyle opted out of the ledge clip. I'll have to take note. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like I saw Kyle go for a ledge clip already, but I'll have to take note just in case. There's a difference in the game that if you're playing at 60 FPS versus more, you experience a couple differences. Basically, ledge clips are only available at 60. And then if you're at a higher rate, then you will get a slightly faster sword slash, which is useful in things like boss fights, of course. But you completely opt yourself out of the time save, so you can pick the run that suits how you would like to play. And there's benefits and detriments to both, really. Comfy hits the switch. Should anything go wrong. Apparently I'm going to tempt fate early today with Commentator's Curse. Sledge clip there. You got this giant laser. Giant laser does lots of damage. Only hits you if you're up top on the surface level, of course. Coming up on the Hunter tank. Really not too much of a threat. Likes to shoot projectiles, has 3 turrets that will come out of the top, also has the front turret. Front turret basically does absolutely nothing because the fire happens and you're forced to get up on the tank anyways. I guess if you tried to stand there for some reason. But yeah, it goes down really easily. There's not generally too much issue with it, and of course you get the health upgrade afterwards, which means the full health refill. Bam. I'll done the tank as well. The only thing you really have to be wary about here is this flame that shoots out horizontally right after the tank. All of this is on cycles, and if you are off cycle, oh, Kyle took a little bit of a tumble. Thankfully, it's not that far from the checkpoint. If you happen to... sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. If you happen to do the fight or the stage in a different way, basically that flame can be on a different cycle. So you almost kind of get to a point where you recognize where the flame shot is as you're approaching it, and whether or not you should hesitate, whether or not you should perhaps take a backwards damage boost off it, or whether you're safe to go just holding right is basically how it would work there. So 2C is going to try and hit the switch from afar. One for the lantern, one for the switch. Nicely done. The section that Kyle's going across is a little notorious for being dangerous. Didn't get the shuriken kills on the robots up top, unfortunately. Makes it a little more dicey, but slowed down, took it safe, and totally respectable move. TwoC is coming up to Biohunter. Going to be purchasing the Swag Blade here. Swag Blade's been available throughout the duration of Chapter 3, but this is really the only point that we're going to pick it up and use it. Basically because of damage boost and whatnot. There's no reason to invest essence into it otherwise. But yeah, just like that, Phase 1 of Biohunter went really well. Actually got a lot of extra damage post Phase 1. Approaching the second phase from the left, but totally fine because of the damage that 2C did on the first phase. Very nicely done. See how Kyle's Biohunter fight goes. Essentially what you're trying to do is after you trigger the movement onto the second phase, you can still damage Biohunter. So you want to get in as much extra damage as you can before he flies off screen. Alright, so you can see, if you remember, 2C's had quite a bit less health on Biohunter entering Phase 2, so you're going to see a little bit of a longer Phase 2 here, but yeah, Rising Fire took care of that. 2C is going to be hitting the TNT using the Swag Blade. Fast fall from the Pogo that we just got. Into the dojo. Kyle also gets equipped with Pogo. Oh, so 2C, we're all guilty of this. 2C took a little bit of a tumble. Thankfully, it was right at the start of the Monkey Shrine, and is not going to lose it on too much time there having to redo this. Ran past the door, flashed the other flame. Slight angry slash, we'll call it. There's the wall slide ability for 2C. So, entering the dojo now is Kyle. Gonna be making that same climb. Very, very small opportunity to make up some time here if he doesn't take a fall at the very start. Basically, a matter of a few seconds is all it was. Time zones are definitely a thing. I do not blame anyone for having trouble with time zones. Chapter 4, the best picture to summarize this apparently is this door, for some reason. Chapter 4 right at the start is left and right, pick your path. Doesn't matter which one you do first. Our runners are going to be trying to either hit this with a shuriken directly, very nice by 2C. Alternatively, you can pogo off that enemy to get a little extra height, and then throw your shuriken that way. It's worth noting, I guess I haven't mentioned that the sub-weapons do have their own health values. You can see to the left of the image of the sub-weapon and the top left of your screen there. 2C currently has 1 of 3 health left on that Swag Blade, where Kyle has 3 health remaining. So 3 hits regardless of Shadow's health, and you lose your sub-weapon. Of course, if you do die to an instant death source like spikes, well, then you lose your sub-weapon anyways, and health is irrelevant. Kyle getting the business. Kyle 110% got the business from that enemy. Eventually just opting out of that strat and doing it the, I guess we'll call it the normal way. Normal being, I guess, the intended way, with quotes. Oh no. Oh no! So Kyle was right in front of that switch. And I mean, you can take a death warp there. There's actually nothing wrong with hitting that switch and then dying, which is, I believe, what he would have done or was intending to do. But just didn't quite reach the switch. So had to redo that whole room. Cyber section that 2C's in right now. We can fudge this one. You basically just hit the first switch in the sequence and then leave. And it's like, yay, you're done. We don't know why, but it works. 2C not going for the nutter strat because, well, it's nuts. Okay, so we can see these little vents here. They're going to be more prominent later. But they've got an exposed, like, red section that glows. And the idea is you hit it and it kind of explodes the pipe outwards from that. A little bit later, you're going to see some different ways that we can destruct those and cause them to blow up a little bit sooner to our advantage and save a little bit of time. This room is another tight cycle. We're going to see... Okay, so 2C is already off cycle. He's not going to be attempting the drop. Needs to be careful getting bullied a little bit there. Normally, runners will go for a certain cycle in this room. And I mean, I guess... Could have tried the drop if he wanted to, but I understand not being confident in eyeballing it after the fact on a different cycle. Essentially, if you do that room perfectly... and you get there, you know you're on a perfect cycle to drop down and save a little bit of time instead of going around to the left. See if Kyle has more luck with it. You see looking healthy though. Alright, electric water, pipes on top. Take your pick. I guess, kind of, you do have to go up regardless. Backwards damage boost there by 2C, very nice. The dragon can be a little bit trolly. The turn that 2C's in right now can be a little bit frustrating. Just the platform placement is kind of awkward. Kyle is, oh, definitely not, okay. Health gonna be in this lantern. Started out okay, but went off the rails and then obviously opted out for safety reasons. Both runners putting in a respectable effort. Chapter 4 is really dangerous. This is where they kind of like, they up the instant death spikes in Chapter 4. You see he's gonna pick up his blaster. Coming into the Mecha Dragon fight. Let's see which strat he's going to use here. Alright. First phase is generally a little bit, I'll say, easier. And it's not a word I would use lightly in this fight. There's a couple different things and a couple ways that he's going to go about this. Strong phase 2. Hoping for a 3 cycle here. 3 cycles basically your standard. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to manage the platforms. You're trying to collect and farm SP, but you also want your charge blaster to be fully charged for the sake of doing lots of damage. And there we go, right there. 3 cycle. Nicely done. So it's RNG because you're dealing with platforms. First phase is a little less so because it's all kind of set up the same way initially when you wander in. Mecha Dragon will also spawn on the left or right, so you have to kind of predict that. You're trying to farm SP, but the time it takes for your charge blaster to get back to full is pretty lengthy. So you kind of have to pick your poison between, do I want to continue to farm or do I want to let it charge for extra damage? And then You need to be on the platform and, of course, dealing damage to Mecha Dragon when he eventually does pop up. Rising Fire is good, but if your placement is off, all of a sudden, less of the fireballs hit. So we have here on Kyle's side. Have a little bit of a high five here in the boss room. Alrighty. This could go either way. 3 cycles definitely possible. It's going to be hard. He's low on SP, and then he was going to go collect SP, and then... Oh, so close. Eventually opted out, seeing that Mecha Dragon was going to show up there. Got the blaster shot, I believe, but unfortunately just 2 damage shy here. And he's gone. We'll call it a quick 4 cycle because it was right at the start, but yeah, unfortunately just couldn't make the 3 cycle happen, which happens to the best of us. 2C getting bullied here. This room is deceptively difficult. Our runners are going to either try to carry through with the blaster here at full health. If that does get destroyed or damaged, they're likely going to pick up the E field here, cost of 50 essence. And then the goal is to do this fight taking as little as damage as possible to your sub-weapon. Looks like 2C is going for the safe 1 damage boss kill. So the runners are going to want to keep this for an upcoming skip in the next chapter, which can save potentially about 25 seconds if executed well. And 2C having that 1 extra health on his E field means that he's going to have a little bit of a buffer. You can take 1 hit, but is still ultimately 2 hits away from not being able to do that skip and giving Kyle an opportunity to pick up a little bit of time. Kyle's working through here with the blaster, still at full health. Some players will switch for an E field regardless of a full health blaster, just based on preference. And some will go based on the results, like, hey, did my blaster actually take damage on the way? If it did, well then I'm gonna buy an E field because I want to give myself as much headroom as I can for the skip coming up. Our new fancy ability is the parry. This is a tap towards the projectile ability to create a little blue orb in front of you. You can create a bigger projectile, and the projectile kind of, it dissipates over time. So you can hit it after a little bit of time and it'll be like a smaller reflection. But they do a lot of damage. And if you're bold enough to parry a shot that is essentially right in your hitbox, you will get what's called a perfect parry, and you will actually get 1 SP back. So Kyle done the vessel defense fight. Took 2 hits there on that E field, so isn't going to have any headroom for the skip. Very nice parry by 2C. Didn't get the ledge like he intended, dropped back down and saw the projectile and reacted accordingly. I don't blame you for not knowing about the perfect parry. It's not something I think any of us go for intentionally. I think that was one of those like last details that Mecha gave us at some point and just mentioned it. And we were like, huh. See, looking very good. Going to be able to do the skip here. The E field is able to do the skip from afar. The blaster actually has to get up a little bit up close and personal. Going to see if 2C is going to go for second skip, or if he's going to damage down here. Going for second skip. You want some? We've talked about going for that skip with Swag Blade and how it's technically possible, but you'd have to carry it forward for quite some time. But we can all dream. So 2C actually sacrificed a little bit of time there. You saw Alpha put the squeeze on him and brought him down to 1 health. You can damage down there, but you will sacrifice your sub-weapon. So going for the second skip in the hopes that that little time loss is going to pay off with a bigger time gain later. Ooh. Kyle doubled back, hesitated on that one platform, which survived and read it correctly. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Made a call either way. The worst thing is when you decide that you can't decide what to do and you basically do neither. Alright, 2C's on to Alpha 1. So, normal strat with Alpha 1 is lots and lots of parries. E-Field makes this difficult because E-Field, the whole goal of it is to actually just stop the projectiles. Kyle got skip 1, which is nice. 2C actually lost E-Field during Alpha 1, so is not going to be able to get skip number 2. Oh, and just clips a spike, unfortunately. Right after the checkpoint, not really a big loss there. Better than getting far into that section and taking the death. Nobody wants to die to Orby. Nobody at all wants to die to Orby at the end of this haul. I felt so bad when that happened. Like, so bad. Alright, Kyle progressing very nicely. Everything's looking good. I'll go over. Opts to refill the health. And 2C's on to Alpha 2. A couple things to mind when you're fighting Alpha 2. You don't want to slash his eye too quickly, otherwise he will close it and not reopen it. Parries are absolutely great. So what you're actually trying to do in this fight is you're trying to parry the projectiles that he's firing at you and not hit him with the sword. And then right at the end of that parry scenario, you don't again want to slash the sword too quickly, or sorry, slash the eye too quickly. Otherwise, it will close and you won't be able to do the little pogos there. I'll get in a little bit of trouble from Alpha 1. Lost the E-Field, but survived. That's good. This is where our runners would benefit from skip 2. Essentially, it saves blowing up this little container and saving the ninja. So you can actually leave one of your clan friends, your ninja clan buddies behind. Sad, really. He's destined to spend his life just like in some tube if you are good enough at this game. Alright, so 2C now equipped with the dash. This is your big game changer. This is where Turkey would famously say, this is a game of two halves, and this is essentially where we're hitting that second half. So, dash ability, excellent. It moves as quickly, it's powerful, can be extended with pogos like that. If you kill an enemy with a dash attack, then you automatically get 1 SP back, assuming that you had SP to begin with. Each move that you have does change based on whether or not you have SP, so it's always important to note. Exactly, it is 110% the saving the animal situation. Just like that, 2C is on to the robot factory, and Kyle is done Alpha 2. Alpha 2 is one of those fights that's generally not seen as too threatening, but can go off the rails, and when it does, it gets really scary, because usually you're in a situation where one hit and you die, and you're surrounded by the... I don't want to call them little Alpha 2s, but the little purple tentacle dudes. Whole theme of the robot factory here is we've got these security lasers and the security system. Trigger it, and the angry Super Mario Bros. 3 sun, as some people have dubbed it, comes flying out of the walls at you. Green turrets emerge from the walls and ceilings and whatnot, sometimes floor. And little purple enemies also appear. Those guys. Yeah, very nice. Very clean factory by 2C, and onto the tunnel cleaner. So tunnel cleaner is very much a scripted fight. Assuming that everything goes well, you want to start with the initial hit. And 2C is doing the method where he actually baited out a bomb early on. There's a couple different ways that you can approach this fight. You want to nail these parries. Unfortunately, those parries diminished slightly before he got the slash, so I don't believe it did full damage there. Pretty much off script at this point. Doesn't, yeah, I was gonna say, doesn't need to go for the double there. Meanwhile, Kyle making his way through the robot factory. The big important thing with Tunnel Cleaner is just don't die. Like, if the fight goes awry and it's off script, just don't die. Because then you not only feel bad because you died to Tunnel Cleaner, but then you actually have to do the whole fight over again, of course, so. 2C's on to Chapter 7. This is where the game will kick your ass and not feel an ounce at all bad about doing so. Taking on his first Knock Knock, as they're officially called. Very nicely done. This is another chapter of multiple instant death spikes. You have more enemies, you have projectiles, you have the walls that you have to deal with. Right after the checkpoint, that's a 2C. Alright, gonna slow the pace for a moment and get his bearings. Coming up to the second Knock Knock, which is much worse than the first because moving platforms and spikes. But the good thing is, if you happen to die post Knock Knock kill, but before your next checkpoint, it stays dead. The Tunnel Cleaner is going on Kyle's side. Takes the damage, destroy the 1, destroy the 2, cluster them together. Boop, and it's dead. Very nice. Oh, 2C, I think that was an accidental pogo there. Out of SP, and this is a chapter where you will really feel being out of SP. Thankfully, there's an SP generator coming up in a quick moment. But this is where you'll really feel it, not only in the dashes, but in your attacks, and kind of making your way through this entire section. You feel the weight of not having SP here. You also have to deal with these acidic kamikaze skulls. If at all possible, try and avoid coming into Chapter 7 with no SP, because then you're starting out in a rough spot, where at least if you have some, you can make it up along the way. First Knock Knock went cleanly for Kyle. And, well, remember that feature where the Knock Knocks stay dead if you don't reach the checkpoint? Here we are. 2C unfortunately just took 2 hits to that SP dispenser. This SP dispenser is one that you generally want to try and carry for the duration. There's a couple auto-scroller sections coming up soon, and if you happen to have the SP dispenser and are missing SP in those sections, it will dispense essence, which is this game's money. And it can be useful for buying extra things at the end, kind of padding your currency if you've maybe made a contingency buy or you're not entirely sure on where you stand. Very nice cyber section there. Alright, entering the dragon at 3810. Always a good reference point. This is where we're going to get our full meal deal all of our abilities, everything that we can use, basically gets a little bit better. Now, the thing that primarily matters in getting a little bit better is going to be our jump, which we are now going to have a double jump. Double jump essentially breaks games. Not so much in this one because you get at a very intentional place. I'll unfortunately taken a couple hits to the SP dispenser, so going to be in the same boat as 2C was. But yeah, you get a double jump. You get stronger versions of all of our moves when you charge. So not only can you do a normal charge slash, but you can do a charge shuriken, which would turn into a kunai. You can do a charge up strike, which instead of just having the 3 fireballs has like 3 fire phoenixes. Charge down strike has a wider explosion radius, I believe is the technical detail behind it. And charge dash attack has a like phantom image of shadow that does extra damage. Yeah, this is where you get equipped with all of your stuff. You feel good to go, and the first time you try and exercise that feeling, you're very likely going to get punished for it. And probably multiple times after that, actually. Oh, is it 5? Is there 2 that go lower, like don't go as high? Is that what it is? I think I always disregard the lower 2 because they don't hit anything in any case where we would use them for the run. But the first spread of 3 of the charge one do go farther, like, or higher. They all go up? Huh, interesting. There's very, very niche circumstances in which you'll see our runners use that ability, but someone mentioned in the Discord, it's kind of cool because we do use everything. 40-20 for Kyle hitting the dragon, so a 2-minute 10-second difference currently between our runners. Alright, on to that auto-scroller section. So 2C not being able to carry the SP dispenser forward, it's not the end of the world. It's sitting on 65 essence, so end buys should be comfy at this point. Just is not going to have any leeway for extra buys. There's one extra kind of like luxury health upgrade, or not health upgrade, sorry, health restore that we can buy a little bit later. Alright, Kyle progressing nicely. I just said that, so I'm sure I've doomed that SP dispenser. Shield enemies can be aggravating. If they put that shield up, they can be persistent in just leaving it up, and like, you can't just kind of bully your way through it in one slash. The big key is getting past those guys before they deploy their shield. Everything looking good. This wall on Kyle's side is like notorious for killing people because the checkpoint's right there and you see it, you feel it, you know it's right there, and it's heartbreak. I feel like if I could provide somebody an easy image of heartbreak in Cyber Shadow, it would be an image of Shadow dying on the left side of that wall with the checkpoint visible on the right. There you go. Alright, auto-scroller section number 1 done on 2C's side. The turtle airbag was deployed. Fun fact, hold right during that, and for some reason you fly slightly farther right. Don't know why. Works to the left as well, but obviously that doesn't help us. Alright. 2C drop down. We don't normally see that little section here before this wall. This wall is also daunting. This is another one of those spots that it's real easy to... I didn't want to say it. get hit by a stray projectile and take a death. Alright, Exo 2. The other Exo. This is your Exo Gundam section. Opposed to the bike section, it's not, I guess, technically a full auto-scroller because you're controlling the screen scroll, but it's auto-scroller-esque in the fact that we can only go so fast, we're limited by the run speed, and as long as you're taking the same specific damage boost along the way, you're not really ever at risk of dying. There's health refills along the way. And then Exo makes a reference of attacking aggressively, which is, of course, a great Contra reference. This fight, although it's not technically scripted, as long as you're always in the same place and doing the same thing, it will always happen the same way. So you can manipulate this fight to just always be executed in that same 3 cycle. Unfortunately, lost out on a little bit of health to that enemy, which, you know, you wouldn't think would actually make a difference, but is going to have to be a little bit more mindful of the damage boost that 2C takes through this section. Turtle Bag being deployed on Kyle's side. Oh, there's one of the green dudes. Getting in 2C's way. Very wisely turning back to deal with the next one. Alright. Game preps you for what looks to be a boss fight and then says, "No, we were just kidding. Instead, FXO." I guess we had a boss fight. We had the gunship, but just it always feels a little underwhelming. We do see Kyle, by the way, you can see the essence that dispenser's doing its thing. Alright, so 2C actually took a save and quit there. Reason for that is you do want to have more than 1 health, and if you don't have the luxury essence to buy the health restore there, you can either take a death or you can save and quit for the 5 health. Kyle, no! So that was FXO, but not in the way that we're normally used to seeing, unfortunately, and going back to my point about trying to manage your damage and being wary if you happen to take an extra hit, that's exactly what can happen. 2C's through a very dangerous room, only took 1 hit on the SP dispenser, which is nice. You know, Exo is getting the business here on Kyle's side. You see, unfortunately losing the SP dispenser there, but this chapter is really hard to do without taking damage, to be honest. Alright, Kyle has reached the gunship. I guess it's also worth noting, I don't know if I don't think we've actually mentioned it in previous races as well, and it's not completely obvious just by looking at it from a viewer perspective, but you can charge Exo's shots. So typically in this like 3-rounder, you'll start with a charge shot and then you'll mash the remainder of shots. Kunai toss there from 2C. So we talked about how earlier these little explosive vents have a different way that you can destroy them. You can use the kunai. See, this is exactly why I mentioned this stuff. It is not at all obvious that you can charge Exo shots. That is your fun fact for the day. It does help too, of course, in the like other sections where you're getting damaged because it can clear out some of the other enemies a little bit easier and a little bit quicker. You can charge when you're on the bike too. It's not just the Gundam section. You can charge when you're on the bike. Alright. 2C jamming in 9. 9 is a very, very, very deadly game of Minesweeper. So, the water doesn't kill us, but those mines sure do. And also FXO on the left-hand side. Yeah, the 3 cycle is much easier when you realize that you can kind of prep and prime those charge shots while it's changing positions. Alright, so we saw Kyle there with his fancy extra essence from keeping the SP dispenser into the exo sections. Did opt in for the full health. That is probably your first luxury go-to if you have extra essence, I would say. Or Orbiter. Orbiter in 7 has also been making a couple appearances. Oopsie's on a boat. Everybody really likes the boat. Boat is a sequence of enemies, always in the same pattern. And what you're essentially aiming for is to destroy them quick enough that you get what we call a fast boat. So players will get either fast or slow boat. And slow boat is 10 seconds roughly slower than fast boat. And all it is after you destroy the last enemy, you either transition to the next section immediately, or you wait. For the sake of races, I just always hope that our racers get the same boat. But may all your PBs contain fast boat. If you happen to need health in this section, by the way, the little enemy in the very right-hand crate will drop health if you're at 4 or less. So you can force a health drop there if you need it. And last enemy on 2C's side, let's see what he gets. Well, that is one slow boat. Slow, slow, slow your boat. That's a potential 10-second time save for Kyle to pick up. You see coming into the Combinatron, you want to damage him quickly, but not too quickly, and you want to bait out an attack. The intended idea is his hands are used to heal him, and you don't want that to happen. So, there we go. Very nicely done. So you bait out an attack with the orbs out of the hands, and you kill him during that so he doesn't have a chance to heal. When he gets below half health, that's when the healing begins, and once it starts, most runners will opt to just take a death. You see, feeling comfy with the essence, picking up the SP recovery there. Went for the down pogo strat, tried to thread the needle, didn't work. Going to take it a little bit more slowly, and then, oh, well, was taking it slower, and then tried to bridge the gap between the two platforms, and unfortunately got punished. Once again, tries to thread the needle. There's a couple different ways that you can tackle this room quickly that will basically put you on those orange platforms when they're met in the middle. And one of which that you saw 2C attempting was the fast fall between the actual ledge and the platform using the pogo. But it is pretty precise. Chapter 10 seems like the chapter where anything can happen. We've seen a lot of people come in here on spicy paces and be met with the worst. And it's just like, it's a series of rooms that are deadly in and of themselves, but then when you put the whole section together and then you're dealing with SP management and then you're trying to be knowledgeable in your backups should your SP not be where it needs to be, it's a lot to take in. And then you're also kind of dealing with some reactivity in terms of how certain things fall or how certain things happen. You see, so far so good. A little hit the switch and wait section, so you're just trying to hit the switch as fast as possible. Some runners you'll see will use charge parries to take out, there we go, there's one. Well, he prepped it with the one, but then unfortunately got damaged just as the wall was, or just as the door was opening. So here's Spider Rail. Are we sure that's 5? That looks like 3. Maybe they're layered. So 2C sending back his order of onion rings. Okay, no, that's fine. I was confident originally, and then, but 2C sending back those onion rings. Couple things in terms of depth of the Spider Rail fight. The kunai will damage Spider Rail even when his main eye is closed. You can also hit him before the fight begins with the charge rising fire attack. We use that to kind of deal some damage early on. We force the pattern in a way, or you can force the pattern in a way in which you get early onion rings, as we call it. And then you can send back the order of onion rings for a quick kill. Look, I just call it as I see it. That is exactly what's going on. Spider Rail's like, order up, and then 2C was just like, no. Alright, last shop. He is 1 essence shy of the full refill, but has enough SP that is going to be full anyway before the end of the cutscene. Doesn't end up mattering. First of 3 final boss fights here. Apparator. Very nice first damage section. If you have some ability to make that have 5 projectiles instead of 3, let us all know. Like, teach us your secret. Oh, I just glanced back over at Kyle's side. I believe he got a fast boat, if I'm not mistaken. 2C onto the Pro Gen 1 fight, which is not really too much of a fight. Attack and destroy the shield on the outside, and then just pump him full of damage using rising fire, flashes, etc. Big K taking on Combinatron. Oh no! Woo! That was real close. 2C unfortunately got the music glitch on Pro Gen 2, so we don't get to hear that great track. Essentially what's going on in this fight, you are supposed to destroy these 3 pouches. We end up using the right one just to kind of pogo off of and do damage. Blue orb protects you, pink orb gives you projectiles. What would be green orb gives you platforms. Alright, pre-G's in chat for 2C. We shall not speak the one thing that can still happen. Or at least I shall not. You guys do you in chat, but I'm not saying it. And he's got the SP, so I'm really not saying it. So we've got Big K coming through Chapter 10. I love how the game, by the way, if you guys aren't aware, like the game implies that you like need to stay behind her during this fall, so you don't get like damaged or like you don't burn up in the atmosphere or something like that. You don't actually have to do anything. It doesn't matter where you are during this fall. Nothing can actually happen. Oh, so 2C actually spending a little bit of extra time, you can down pogo out of that pink flame section a little bit quicker. Not going to be soft locking as he missed one of the targets. But done with an official racetime.gg time of... Oh. Well, it looks like 2C has yet to end in race time, but it was a 58:31, I believe, based on our timer here, if I'm not mistaken. Cat's saying a 58:29. So yeah, like a 58 and a half. There's the cat jam. 2C finish in the race room, please. Hey, there we go. He just finished with a official racetime.gg time of 59:26, which doesn't matter. We know he finished. It's fine. Cal taking on Spider Rail here. Alright, you can see the cat appropriately jamming to the Spider Rail boss theme. Yeah, honestly, Pentatriangle did a great job on the whole game soundtrack. It's got a lot of different vibes to it. Like, every track is pretty much good, if not great. Oh, I think we're going to refer to 2C as the strong silent type. Typically not one to join the conversation afterwards in the Discord call, which is totally fine. I mean, it is definitely not an obligation. It's always optional, of course. But big congrats to 2C. Going to be moving on in this tournament. So this is a lower bracket round 2 match. 2C is going to be moving on to be facing Space Narc in the lower round 3. And unfortunately, this is going to be the end of the tournament life, at least from the player perspective for Kyle. But yeah, really good race. Hard fought. Cyber Shadow, as we know, anything can happen. He had exactly 100 essence. I love it. Totally intentional. 110%. Oh, and then he stole Operator's lunch money. Alright, same deal. Take out the shield with one hit. Apply the damage. Multiple ways to do this depending on preference. Pro Gen 1, not really too scary. Hey, we at least get to hear the music though. Alright, so get that damage in. You're basically going to destroy the left pouch and the bottom pouch. Some runners have even stopped destroying the left one. It's been discovered fairly recently that you can also do a charge down slash or a charge pogo, and you can reach Pro Gen 2 from the ground. You don't even need to actually pogo off of one of these little pouches here. So this fight's really developed over the last little while. And he's down. Alright, pre-Gs for Kyle as well. Right, into his free fall. You know, I've never considered this music cat jam material, but apparently that's not how the right side feels. Yeah, very solid run. This can happen to anybody in Cyber Shadow, right? And they can be extremely punishing, or they can be extremely lenient depending on where they happen in relation to a checkpoint and what chapter they happen in as well. You know, once you have that dash, you can certainly get further faster. It looks like we're gonna get some end game stats here for 2C. We're gonna see if Kyle's gonna down stab out of this. Oh, also waiting for the animation. Alright. 2C's cat stats coming in. And Kyle gonna finish up 104.02 on our timer, and an official race time.gg time of 104.04. So yeah, great race by both. It's never an easy speed game to deal with a Cyber Shadow run, and anything can happen. Anyone can take a death that snowballs into a death loop. It's not only a game in and of itself, but it's a mental game half of the time. Oh, who am I kidding? All of the time. Not even half the time. All right, I'm gonna bring Kyle in here with us. Alrighty, congrats on the race, Kyle.
Oh, hello, GG2C.
It's we know how Cyber Shadow goes. We were just discussing, of course, that anyone can take a death and anything can happen. How do you feel, kind of start to finish, about that race? Was there any spot that you felt was particularly troublesome? Was there anything that you felt was good in the duration of your run today?
Kind of, for me, it was kind of just like I died a lot, but it was I feel like the total, like where Cyber Shadow really started, I died twice at Exo, and that just like totally set like a bad place for the rest of it. From there, it was hard to come back.
And that's actually what we were just saying. It's Cyber Shadow is a game in and of itself, but then you're dealing with the mental aspect of it, and it's so easy to take a death and then have to mentally fight back from that, depending on where it is in relation to a checkpoint or in relation to certain chapters. You guys were only a couple minutes apart getting fully powered up and going to the dragon. So there's about like a 2-minute difference at that point in time. You had some really good points though, like your tunnel cleaner fight was spot on. Your end boss fights looked really good. It did have some really strong points. I think Chapter 7 probably happened to both of you guys. Which,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, we know how Chapter 7 happens, right? That happened to both of you for sure, because I know 2C took a couple deaths and had a little bit of a moment there. So I said to everyone, it's unfortunately the end of your time with us in the tournament, but we appreciate you participating, and I think even you've had some PBs along the way in terms of practice and prep for the tournament and stuff. What's kind of next for you with Cyber Shadow? Are you going to continue the grind? Are you going to take a break and explore other options? What's your next kind of speed goal, or even take a break from speed goals if you want?
Well, right now I'm definitely going to keep the grind going for a while yet. I'm still going at least for the sub 1 hour. It could happen pretty much any week now. As for right now, I'm kind of just going to keep going. Maybe start 100, depending on how any percent goes.
Nice.
But for right now, this is kind of the game for me at the moment.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Be sure to check out our runners. I just hit you guys up with the link as per usual there in chat. We do have another race booked for June 1st, so to be sure to check that out as well. And yeah, thank you again for participating and joining. Do you have any last words for us today?
Just GG to 2C. Good luck on the next run. I'm sure it's from here on out, it's going to get really, really intense on the races. So, and thanks for all the races as well. It's been a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun practicing and racing a lot of people here.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And yeah, guys, stay tuned. The tournament is only going to get more intense, and we will be back for more Cyber Shadow action on June 1st. Have a good one.